Were you excited?
What?
Sexually, when we were in the park?
No, not exactly.
Well, I asked because I was, and I wondered if you were too.
Now, overall, I thought the film was good. It was okay and watchable, but I have a few criticisms about the portrayal of the character. But now I shall give you the details of the film and what I think of each scene. Now, the first thing I noticed it was interesting was the changes made after after Adam's dad's funeral. At first, his clothes are all neat and he's all tidy, and his food is all there, and he's got like a chart with all his and his dad's like chores on it, and all his dad's chores are knocked off. Now, because he's on his own, he's becoming more disorganised, and after a while he basically runs out of clothes, and then he has to like wash his clothes while he's wearing like just a blazer and tracksuit bottoms or something, because now he's on his own, he's a bit stuck, I think. And I noticed another thing that was interesting was that all the food was the same in this fridge. He had macaroni and cheese, I think it's broccoli and something else, and then the cupboard, it was all bran. So basically it's the same sort of things, which is kind of a sort of stereotype of his kind of character, but it's actually can be quite true as well. Some people who like the character with AS do kind of like to stick to the same things. Another thing I'd like to mention is his work and situation. He works at a toy company, and he's an electronic engineer, and he's like inventing kind of thing, this new toy that has voice recognition, something called Splice. I forgot what it stands for now. And his boss is having a go at him because he's not making enough money for the company. He's just fiddling around with this little toy, not really doing anything. So he says like, he said about the toy, I didn't say give it free will. So Adam goes, he doesn't have free will. Of course he's being a bit pedantic when he corrected him, doesn't have free will. And like, to be honest, it's like something I'd say. Like, I would sort of correct people. Like if they said, oh, I didn't say give such a thing free will, I'd be like, don't even have free will. Yeah, so that's kind of, so another thing is, as soon as this film starts, he's already showing loads of traits and stuff. And I'm thinking you should slow down a bit, I think, and not go straight into it. Look how literal he is, like 5 minutes into the film. I think they should have kept you waiting a bit, kept you guessing, because that's what it's usually like in real life anyway. Now we get to the scene where Adam meets Beth by the steps. I mean, he meets her before in the laundrette, but nothing much happens that's notable. But now they're in there. So now he's sitting on the steps outside the block of flats, and he's on his computer looking at space because his special interest is astronomy, that we just found out. And so Beth has got like all these shopping bags, like big ones, and she's carrying up the stairs, and she speaks to him and all that, and she says, what's that? No. She goes up to him. He goes, this new pictures of Saturn and stuff. So she goes, oh, how interesting. And she's like, so do you like space? And she's like, yeah, I like to know what's out there. But she's saying it as just a bit of a small talk, making a bit of conversation, and he's seeing it as an invitation to talk about space, and he thinks that she's interested in it like he is, and like, because he's that obsessed, he's like, oh, everyone else has got to hear it. So one thing I found quite funny and amusing at the end of that scene is when she's carrying a bag. She's like, now I just pull these really heavy grocery bags up the stairs, like nudge, could you help me? And but Adam just goes, yep. And that's quite funny how he didn't hear the tone of her voice saying, carry these things upstairs for me, please, yeah, so, and then later on that night, he's getting ready to go to this party with Beth, but then he sort of gets really anxious at the last minute, like social anxiety kind of feeling, and he stands and he hears a knock on the door, and he stands by the door and he just doesn't answer, and then he just starts crying or something. And I think he does that because I don't know if he regrets not going, or if he was just a bit like, maybe he was overcome with this emotion of anxiety and stuff, that always going to see some people and things like that. And later on, she sees him and he's like, "Oh, sorry, couldn't come." And he goes, "I get overloaded." Now, the way he said that, it was like he was, that wouldn't usually happen. Because I noticed throughout the film he tends to explain himself a bit too much. Everything he does, he tells her what he's doing and all this. And in real life, we wouldn't really do that. I mean, if I did something, like if I was going to go out somewhere and like checking out last minute, because oh god, I'm going to see all those people and that, and if someone says, "Oh, why couldn't you come?" I wouldn't say, "I get overloaded." I wouldn't do that. I'd just say, "I couldn't, I was busy" or something, because I wouldn't want to look silly by explaining himself or anything. So, and he asked it because like, earlier on in the scene he asked if she wants to find out more about space and all this. So he has this planetarium thing in his room, like all these stars. I think I really want one of them myself. How cool they are! All these stars and planets and things, and then and he gives her this kind of like a speech, like about space and about the Big Bang and how it all started. And I like that scene because, one, I learned quite a few things about space from watching that, especially the thing about speed of light and things going faster than the speed of light and all that stuff. It's really fun. But yeah, and also I like how they had him getting really excited about his obsession. Like you can see just the joy in his face as he's talking about all the things he's interested in, and that's kind of true to life. Like if I've got a few special interests and things, and if I hear them mentioned, I'm like, oh, really excited and stuff. Or if I see something on the internet to do with it, I'm like, oh, I'm reading this. Or and if I talk about them, then I get really carried away. Anyway, well, Adam has got this friend. I forgot his name, but yeah, this friend is like his friend of his dad, and he gives him some advice and stuff. And he was talking about space again, and he's like, and so his friend's like, "Whoa, have your lunch, speak English." So he goes, "Oh, sorry," and then he goes, "Blah blah blah blah," and he goes, "No, guy time was for lunch talk," and he goes, "Okay." Something. So and I quite like how they did that because in real life people, they have to kind of not get the message, so they could, someone could say, "Oh yeah, I don't get what you're on about," and so we'd be like, "Well, this is what I'm on about, blah 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 blah," and but then after a bit he gets him to change the subject, and he does eventually, and he says, "Oh, there's a woman moved in," and stuff. But see, the thing with the film is, the first off, they do quite a good job with some of the scenes and that, but then it just goes downhill a bit later on. It was like really crap. But the first half is quite good, how we acted and